Katy Perry, I just want to congratulate you on being the first astronaut to sing in space for real.
Thanks, Jeff. It was one small step for women, one giant leap for my lifetime's tour. By the way, it's Captain Perry now. I know you're just a simple businessman, but I went to space for real. That makes me space captain.
Really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
What are you guys gonna do up in space? What are you doing up there?
A space mission this morning. That's end time. This is beyond parody.
This is all for the benefit of Earth.
You care about Mother Earth, and it's about Mother Earth, and you're going up in a spaceship that is built.
Was Blue Origin's 10-minute spaceflight worth it for the planet? Whilst the all-female launch carrying the likes of Katy Perry and Lauren Sanchez has made history, it's also being called a gluttonous...
This isn't one of these things where we're like, women have gone to space, real space, been in space, died in space. Real women astronauts have gone to space. Wasn't a space station who just got back?
Things are seriously blowing up behind the scenes right now. After news leaked that the Simpsons writers are secretly working on a savage parody of Katy Perry's failed Blue Origin spaceflight, Katy completely lost it. And honestly, her reaction is only making the drama worse. So what exactly are they planning to roast? And why is Katy so desperate to stop the episode's airing before it even drops? Stick around because the details are even crazier than you'd expect.
Virgin Galactic charges around $600,000 per seat, which, let's be honest, few can afford. Not to mention the environmental impact of actually producing the hydrogen fuel in the first place, which can be energy intensive. Then, of course, there's the obvious fact that Blue Origin is owned by Jeff Bezos, the founder.
Reason I feel dumb around you. Anyway, when you sang in space, alien communication satellites picked up the sound waves.
And they loved it. I knew I felt a connection when I was in space for real. I sensed the magic of the universe coursing through my foof.
No, they transmitted this message to us.
Earth was shaking in Van Horn, Texas this morning for the ladies-only Blue Origin rocket launch. Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, became the first group of women ever to visit outer space in a giant...
Insiders are spilling that the Simpsons team has been quietly cooking up an episode that takes aim at Katy's space adventure. And let's just say it's not a cute look. Early drafts supposedly show a cartoon Katy freaking out over small stuff in zero gravity, struggling with basic tasks, and holding a bunch of over-the-top emotional press conferences once she's back on Earth.
Okay, I'm gonna show you the capsule that we have been training in for the last few days. Here I am. Seat number 2. Here on the New Shepherd. I think I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna sing a little bit. I gotta sing in space. And these are all of my astronaut girly friends. We are the Taken Up Space crew.
The writers are said to be pulling straight from her real interviews after the flight, just turning the drama all the way up for laughs. When Katy found out what was happening, her team went into panic mode. They slammed the project as a targeted attack and called it a huge misrepresentation of her true intentions. Sources say her team fired off a bunch of heated calls and frantic emails, begging that the network to either scrap the episode or at least tone it down. But instead of backing off, all the behind-the-scenes buzz just made the Simpsons crew even more excited. And now, the controversy is burning hotter than ever.
The 6 women flew to the internationally recognised boundary of space. Their launch used a fully reusable rocket developed for space tourism and was fueled by liquid oxygen and hydrogen, meaning no carbon emissions were released during flight. Katy Perry sang "What a Wonderful World," and the crew became female pioneers, representing Blue Origin's 11th human journey to the edge of space. In terms of contributing to research into human space travel and inspiring young women into science, it's great, right? Well, people are pointing out that there was only one actual...
What was supposed to be this huge history-making moment for women in space ended up looking more like a glittery Instagram stunt, and fans weren't buying it. Instead of celebrating real achievement, it came off like a billionaire's influencer getaway. Instead of being remembered as a trailblazer, Katy's space story became a warning about how you just can't fake sincerity. And now with the Simpsons ready to turn the whole thing into TV gold, it looks like Katy's crash landing isn't over yet.
Katy Perry,
All right.
I just want to congratulate you on being the first astronaut to sing in space for real.
Thanks, Jeff. It was one small step for women, one giant leap for my lifetime's tour. By the way, it's Captain Perry now. I know you're just a simple businessman, but I went to space for real. That makes me Space Captain Perry.
Excuse me, Captain. Hello? We have a problem. You need to get down here right away. All right, we'll be right there. What's the problem?
Please, Jeff, you don't know as much about this stuff as I do. I sang in space for real, after all. So what's the problem?
Man, for some reason I feel dumb around you. Anyway, when you sang in space, alien communication satellites picked up the sound waves.
And they loved it. I knew I felt a connection when I was in space for real. I sensed the magic of the universe coursing through my foof.
No, they transmitted this message to us.
Greetings, I am Superlin, captain of the non-binary from the planet Endopharma. My species is gender fluid, so our pronouns can morph from Z-Zim to bleep blorp at any moment. And we pee out of our big green jugs. When we heard Katy Perry sing, it was triggering for us. I mean, who the hell makes a real space flight about themselves by trying to sing to an entire planet without consent?
All right, let's rewind for a second and talk about how this whole mess even started. Picture this, a rocket with the first ever all-female crew. Sounds legendary, right? Like one of those we made history moments we all cheer for. But that's not really how it played out. 6 women boarded a Blue Origin rocket, you know, Jeff Bezos' billion-dollar space toy, and took off. The media hyped it up like it was the dawn of a new era for women in space. But when the internet caught wind of what really happened, yeah, they weren't that impressed.
5 more words.
Katy Perry regrets space flight. Michelle, sad story. Katy Perry reportedly regrets making the all-female Blue Origin ride such a big spectacle. And she especially regrets the video from inside the pod being released after all the backlash she's gotten. Do you feel bad for her?
No.
No.
No, not even. It's okay. Leave Lynn up there. Lynn, bye. You look.
Instead of celebration, people were cringing. Some even said it felt more like a step backwards than progress. Here's why. The entire flight lasted just 11 minutes, and out of that, they were only weightless for about 4 minutes. That's barely enough time to finish a snack, let alone make history. So yeah, it didn't exactly get the standing ovation they were hoping for.
I don't like that people are calling it a ride. A ride, you know, you never see a male astronaut who's going up in space and they said, oh, he took a ride. We actually duplicated the route that Alan Shepard did. No one said he took that ride. Yeah. It's always referred to as a flight or a journey. So I feel that that's a little disrespectful to what the mission was and what the work that Blue Origin does.
The way the media sold it, you'd think this was a life-changing girl power in space moment. They didn't exactly say, hey, it's just a super quick ride to the edge of space with celebrities. Nope, they made it sound like it was going to inspire a whole new generation of astronauts. But if we're being real, it felt more like a sponsored PR trip than a real mission.
Feeling that strength, so I feel really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
By the way, you're such a bad. I love that the month of April, you're like, I'm going to space and I'm launching my tour.
Everyone was expecting something huge, a days-long mission, actual experiments, real breakthroughs. Instead, what we got was more of a luxury amusement park ride. Like they barely even broke a sweat up there. And of course, the internet had jokes. One person said they seriously thought the crew should be floating around in space for days, not just 4 minutes.
They were up there for 3 minutes. Speaking of Jeff Bezos' sexy, 3 minutes, I tell you, Paul. And got down like, they thought they'd never see us again.
And honestly, can you blame them? The whole thing just didn't live up to the crazy hype it got. What was supposed to be a milestone ended up looking more like a super expensive celebrity vacation. And right there in the middle of it all, yep, Katy Perry. If anyone was going to turn a space trip into a glittery pop video, it was her.
Tim Dillon went on a hilarious rant about the women that went to space during episode 440 of his podcast.
This isn't one of these things where we're like, women have gone to space, real space, been in space, died in space. Real women astronauts have gone to space. Wasn't a space station who just got back. She was stuck up there for months and months. This in space 6 minutes, and she's acting like she's the first slit to go to space. You are not the first slit in space. Slits have been going to space. I don't get it. It's the craziest thing in the world. Women have been in space. They've been in space. This person is acting like it's a big deal because she's famous. That's her whole thing. She's like, no, you don't understand. I have a life worth losing. And I went. That's her whole point here.
So what did they actually do for 2 days before the launch? Well, not a whole lot. Most of the time was spent at Blue Origin's facility doing super basic training, like literally practicing how to get in and get out of the capsule. One of the instructors even joked, "You go in, you go out. That's it. One more time, ladies." The training they had? Yeah, it was basically just practicing how to buckle and unbuckle their seatbelts. That's it. No hardcore simulations, no emergency drills, none of the intense stuff you'd see at NASA. Just a couple of practice runs to make sure they knew how to get in and get out.
Mission craft was frivolous. Nothing around this space flight, this space journey, that's how they wanted to be referred to, not a flight, was frivolous. Meanwhile, they invited the Kardashians. Okay, they literally, they could invite anybody in the world to watch them, and they invited Oprah and the Kardashians. But then they don't understand why we didn't take it seriously. Then you have them kissing the ground when they got off of it. Honestly, like they had just been saved from the Titanic and got back on land. Ahoy, mateys! No, they were kissing the ground. They were up there for 3 minutes. Speaking of Jeff Bezos' fantasy. 3 minutes, I tell you, Paul, and got down like, they thought they'd never see us again. Then you have those two more who are doing the commentary at Mission Control, one of whom is former Fox/CNN, one of whom is ESPN, sitting there talking about this again, like it's Apollo 13, like they're in real danger. They could get stuck up there. And as they
space. It's the training, it's the team, it's the whole thing. I couldn't recommend this experience more. This is like up there with all the, different tools that I've learned in my life, from meditation to the Hoffman process. This is up there because what you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this.
Meanwhile, Katy Perry was hyping up the whole mission like it was the Met Gala in space. She even cracked a joke about putting the ass back in astronaut. And just like that, after 2 days of super basic prep, they were officially ready to blast off.
Raining, it all comes down to, literally, they learned how to buckle their seatbelts and wear the suits that were designer and showed Lauren Sanchez's. Okay. No one's going to convince me that those rockets are not phallic. I think we're all just part of some weird Jeff Bezos fantasy right now. I really do.
But here's where things get real. This wasn't NASA. This was Blue Origin, a private space tourism company. Their whole vibe is space for everyone, but only if you have a spare $200,000 to $500,000 lying around.
This is all for the benefit of Earth.
You have done so many incredible things in your life, selling millions of records, selling out stadiums. Where does this experience rate for you?
This experience is second to being a mom. Wow. Yeah, that's it. And that's why it was hard for me to go, because that's all my love right there. And I have to surrender and trust that the universe is going to take care of me and protect me, and also my family and my daughter.
Let's be real. That price tag instantly wipes out 99% of the planet. So, yeah, it's empowering if you're already a millionaire. While Katy was out here selling sparkly space dreams, the rest of the world is out here just trying to pay rent and keep the lights on. And it wasn't just regular folks side-eyeing it either. Even celebrities like Emily Ratajkowski spoke up, saying it's crazy that billionaires are playing astronaut while the Earth's literally on fire.
I feel really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
What are you guys going to do up in space? What are you doing up there? A space mission this morning. That's end time. This is beyond parody.
This is all for the benefit of Earth.
You care about Mother Earth, and it's about Mother Earth, and you're going up in a spaceship that is built and paid for by a company that's single-handedly destroying the planet.
To me, it's such a reminder about how we need to do better, be better.
It's so much money to go to space.
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who can't even afford eggs. If you want to go to space, why do you need to tell us about it?
Looking back, this mission had some big names on board. Katy Perry, Gayle King, Lauren Sanchez, Aisha Bowe, Amanda Nguyen, and Corinna Flynn. Now, to be fair, Bowe, a legitimate former NASA engineer, and Nguyen, a major civil rights advocate, definitely brought some real credibility. But people still couldn't help but wonder, was this really about inspiring women in STEM, or was it just a flashy PR stunt?
All their training comes down to this. Their training? What are you saying? Lauren Sanchez can't string 2 sentences together. She's only known for showing her breasts to people. Gayle King we don't know how smart she is. All we know is that she's friends with Oprah. That's how she's gotten every gig she's ever gotten. And then you got Katy Perry, who spent her big moment spending more time looking inside the camera than outside the craft, because she was too obsessed with showing us the little things she'd brought to space and making sure she was seen on camera with her doe-eyed little look. And so
I don't like that people are calling it a ride. A ride, you know, you never see a male astronaut who's going up in space and they said, oh, he took a ride. We actually duplicated the route that Alan Shepard did. No one said he took that ride. Yeah. It's always referred to as a flight or a journey. So I feel that that's a little disrespectful to what the mission was and what the work that Blue Origin does.
I thought that they got a lot of respect. I was a little surprised at this.
It was a ride. You're not an astronaut. She said she was the mission. You went up and you came down. That's what.
And you can trust the critics didn't hold back. Emily Ratajkowski doubled down, pointing out again how tone-deaf it was to glamorize luxury space trips when our planet is literally begging for help. Plus the carbon emissions from these flights. Yeah, they're no joke. When everyone else is being told to recycle and carpool, these space rides aren't exactly setting the best example. The media definitely added to the whole mess. By blowing up the story about the all-female crew and hyping up the celebrity passengers, they set expectations crazy high. People were ready for something historic, but once the hype wore off, a lot of folks felt like the mission seriously under-delivered. Of course, the crew had their own side of the story. Gayle King spoke out saying she hoped the mission would inspire the next generation. Lauren Sanchez talked about how dedicated the Blue Origin team was and encouraged people to look at the work behind the scenes instead of just the headlines. Both of them really tried to steer the conversation back to the bigger picture about women having a future in space.
Gayle King upset because there's been a lot of blowback, and I'll play it in a minute, but like from Hollywood leftists, not just people like you and me, but like Hollywood leftists. These are the people who are supposed to love them, who are ripping these women to shreds. It's beautiful. And Gayle King is upset and had a few things that she needed to explain to those of us who don't understand what a hero she is.
Even with all the spin and positive talk, the critics weren't letting up. A lot of people said the whole trip looked more like a ridiculously expensive photo shoot than a real milestone for women in space.
Virgin Galactic charges around $600,000 per seat, which, let's be honest, few can afford. Not to mention the environmental impact of actually producing the hydrogen fuel in the first place, which can be energy intensive. Then, of course, there's the obvious fact that Blue Origin is owned by Jeff Bezos, the founder.
And while it was marked as historic, others were quick to remind everyone that women have been crushing it in space for decades. From Valentina Tereshkova back in the 60s, all the way to today's NASA missions. This wasn't exactly breaking new ground.
From the heavens, from my angels, and they're like, well, here's the feather, which is what your mother calls you, and if that's not enough, the capsule's named Tortoise, which is your second nickname that your mother calls you. And I'm like, okay, I'm going. Yeah. I got the message, and I'm gonna get
the whole situation also reignited the debate about what happens when space goes commercial. Sure, private companies like Blue Origin are making space feel more reachable, but let's not kid ourselves. It's not just about adventure and discovery anymore. It's about money. And once profit starts calling the shots, there's a real fear that real science could end up getting shoved to the side.
Women that went to space. Gayle King popped out again.
But I'm not going to let people steal my joy or what we accomplished that day. I'm just not going to let it in.
Gayle King said she's already receiving notes from young women and girls saying how inspired they are by seeing this moment of female empowerment. This is honestly just ridiculous. Don't try to make it about feminism.
And of course, there was the glam factor. Katy Perry showing up in a glittery space suit, talking about how she was excited to bring sparkle to the galaxy. Yeah, that didn't sit right with everybody. Critics said the whole thing felt less like a mission and more like a high-end fashion shoot. Then came the environmental backlash. A lot of people started raising red flags about the carbon footprint of these quick little space hops, especially now when climate change is staring at us right in the face. And let's not forget the price tag. A ticket on that rocket costs somewhere between $200,000 to $500,000. So while they're out here selling space for everyone, it's really space for the 1%. That had a lot of people asking, is this progress? Or just another VIP club for the ultra-wealthy? As for the whole first all-female flight headline, yeah, it sounded amazing at first. But let's be real, women have been part of space exploration for decades now. NASA's had female astronauts flying missions since the 1980s. So while it was a nice milestone, the real story probably should have been about what they were doing up there, not just who was riding. The whole charade turned into a giant what-not-to-do case study for future space missions. It proved that if you're going to launch something this public, you better be clear about the real goals, not just toss around buzzwords and hope everyone claps. Going forward, if space tourism wants people to actually take it seriously, it's going to have to find the sweet spot between being a spectacle and offering real value. Because right now, it's way too heavy on the sparkle and way too light on the science. Now, if you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, this whole mission kind of felt like a sneak peek at what the future of space tourism might look like. But let's be real, it can't just be about luxury and clout. If these space trips are going to be more than just one-time stunts, they need to start offering something meaningful, actual science, real impact, real inclusion. Public reaction? All over the place. Some people were hyped about the representation. Others just rolled their eyes at the celebrity-heavy angle. Twitter and TikTok were on fire. Memes, hot takes, think pieces, everybody had something to say. And that mix of cheers and eye rolls just proves how divided people are when it comes to mixing fame, money, and outer space. Looking back, this all-female flight said a lot about where we are with space exploration today. Sure, it hit a milestone, but it also proved that a shiny PR campaign doesn't always equal real progress. If future missions want to make a lasting impact, they're going to need more than viral headlines. They need a purpose that actually lands.
So here's what happens. Katy Perry and a bunch of rich women go, right? Gayle King and the rest. And there were 3 other women on that flight that no one really knew about because they were so overshadowed by these women. And Katy with her Daisy because her daughter and all the rest. And now to come back and say, oh, Wendy's wanted me to stay. And oh, I'm so sad. And this was terrible. And yes, I felt the love and I'm glad that I went. But this backlash is horrible. Think it through. It looked stupid. It was stupid. It was it was a PR stunt. It was not a mission.
And while all that was going down, the environmental criticism just kept getting louder. People couldn't stop pointing out how much money and fuel went into a trip that lasted, 11 minutes? When the world's dealing with a climate crisis, a high-speed joyride to space just hit differently. It felt out of touch, and it got people asking, couldn't that money have made a bigger difference down here? Even in feminist circles, things weren't all high fives and celebrations. Some felt like it was a step forward for visibility, others said it was just all glitter and no grit, more style than substance. And yeah, the fact that most of the crew weren't astronauts but celebrities, that only added fuel to the fire. At this point, the mission's basically become the ultimate example of how not to handle space tourism PR. It showed exactly why being real with your messaging matters. If it's a fun trip, say so. But if you're selling it as a game changer, you better bring receipts. As space tourism keeps growing, that line between putting on a show and making a real difference is only going to matter more. Blue Origin's all-female flight did make a splash, but the backlash? That was the world saying, cool idea, but next time, give us more than just sparkle.
Katy Perry, I just want to congratulate you on being the first astronaut to sing in space for real.
Thanks, Jeff. It was one small step for women, one giant leap for my lifetime's tour. By the way, it's Captain Perry now. I know you're just a simple businessman, but I went to space for real. That makes me Space Captain Perry.
Excuse me, Captain. Hello? We have a problem. You need to get down here right away. All right, we'll be right there. What's the problem?
Please, Jeff, you don't know as much about this stuff as I do. I sang in space for real, after all. So what's the problem?
Man, for some reason I feel dumb around you. Anyway, when you sang in space, alien communication satellites picked up the sound waves.
And they loved it. I knew I felt a connection when I was in space for real. I sensed the magic of the universe coursing through my foof.
No, they transmitted this message to us.
Greetings, I am Superlin, captain of the non-binary from the planet Endopharma. My species is gender fluid, so our pronouns can morph from Z-Zim to bleep blorp at any moment. And we our big green jugs. When we heard Katy Perry sing, it was triggering for us. I mean, who the hell makes a real spaceflight about themselves by trying to sing to an entire planet without consent?
So, did Katy Perry actually respond to all the backlash? Oh, you bet she did. And let's just say, her critics definitely heard her roar. Exactly 1 week after blasting off with the all-female Blue Origin crew, alongside big names like Gayle King, Lauren Sanchez, Aisha Bowe, Amanda Nguyen, and Corinna Flynn, Katy seemed to clap back at the noise during her concert in Mexico City on April 23rd. The show had a full-on space theme, and in a not-so-subtle nod to the online drama, she asked the crowd, "Has anyone ever called your dreams crazy?" Yeah, that wasn't random. She even brought 2 fans on stage who showed up dressed in blue astronaut suits, joking that they matched her most current timeline. And let's be real, Katy's not new to this space dream. She told Elle that she had wanted to go to space for nearly 2 decades. Back when Blue Origin first announced their plans for commercial space travel, she was already on board, figuratively and literally. Turns out, Katy had been eyeing other options too. Way back in 2010, MTV News reported she bought a $200,000 ticket with Virgin Galactic. She even said back then that she was obsessed with extraterrestrial stuff and often found herself staring at the night sky, wondering how tiny Earth really is in the grand scheme of the universe. She and then-husband, Russell Brand, were apparently both super into all things alien, though that ship sailed in 2011 when they split. Fast forward to 2025. As her Blue Origin launch date got closer, Katy told Elle she didn't even have time to be nervous. She was locked in, saying there was too much business to handle to waste time worrying. But she did admit one thing. She knew the moment would hit her when the countdown started, and in classic Katy Perry fashion, she couldn't resist adding a little flair. She joked that space was finally going to be glam, and if she could bring glam up there with her, she absolutely would. Her now infamous one-liner, "We're gonna put the ass in astronaut." Yep, she really said that. Even with all the glitz and glam that came with the trip, Gayle King made it clear that the mission wasn't just for show. In an interview with Extra, she explained that there was a real purpose behind the 11-minute ride. According to her, part of the mission's goal was to explore ways to manage Earth's waste, specifically how to send it into space to help improve life down here. She pointed out that every time a flight like this takes off, it brings back new information. In fact, 2 of the women on board were apparently conducting actual experiments during the short trip. Back in February.
I can't even believe what I saw. When somebody calls this a ride, this was not a ride. This was a bona fide friggin' flight. It's oddly quiet when you get up there. It's really quiet and peaceful. And you look down at the planet and you think, that's where we came from? To me, it's such a reminder about how we need to do better, be better. And if everybody could experience that peace that we had up there, I have no regrets about doing it.
Back in February, Gayle opened up on CBS Mornings about the emotional roller coaster leading up to launch day. She described feeling both terrified and thrilled at the same time, comparing the experience to the nerves she felt before giving birth. For Gayle, this wasn't just about checking something off a bucket list. It was about stepping out of her comfort zone and embracing something totally new. She even ran the decision by her inner circle, which included her sons and, of course, her bestie, Oprah. And when Oprah gave her blessing, well, then that was the green light. Oprah reportedly told her, "If you don't do it and everyone comes back and you have the chance, you'll be kicking yourself." And Gayle, she knew that was the truth.
This is what bothers me, because I've certainly read some of the things online, coming from people that I know, that I like, that I consider friends. Space is not an either or, it's a both and because you do something in space doesn't mean you're taking anything away from Earth. And what you're doing in space is trying to make things better here on Earth. What Blue Origin wants to do is take the waste here and figure out a way to put it in space to make our planet cleaner. I mean, Jeff Bezos has so many ideas, and the people that are working there are really devoted and dedicated to making our planet a better place. That's number one. Number two, there was nothing frivolous about what we did. So, I'm very disappointed and very saddened by it. And I also say this, what it's doing to inspire other women and young girls, please don't ignore that. I've had so many women and young girls reach out to me, and men too, by the way, men too, that say, wow, I never thought I could do that, but I see you doing it at this stage of my life. Who would have thunk it? Not me.
And that, folks, is the wild tale of how a glittery trip to the stars spiraled into a full-blown PR disaster. Whether The Simpsons actually goes through the airing of the parody or not, Katy Perry's space story has already earned a spot in the Hall of Fame for celebrity chaos. So now the real question is, was Katy unfairly targeted, or is this just the price you pay when you try to script your own legacy in the era of internet receipts? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you love this deep dive, smash that like button. Subscribe for more hot takes, and tap the bell so you never miss the tea. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground and your eyes on the stars.